Welcome to another episode of the One Life podcast. We're diving deeper into the weekend sermon. Started a brand new mini series.
That's right.
Called Christmas Time is Here, and I think Christmas Time is here. So it was a great sermon.
You know what is funny though? I started every service like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody! Who's excited for Christmas?" And it's like 50% of the room is like, "Yay, it's Christmas!" And it doesn't quite feel Christmas yet.
For me, 75 degrees.
75%. It's still warm. But for me, it's like as soon as the kids are out of school, like the break begins. That's kind of like, okay, here we go. We're ready to roll. So we have this week. We'll finish. We'll finish at our kids' school. Some schools are out Thursday. Our kids are still there Friday, and then let's go pedal to the metal, make it happen.
They will definitely be smarter from that one extra day of school.
That's the goal, right?
Without question.
Absolutely.
All right, so a couple rapid fire.
Yeah.
Christmas time.
Oh, I love this.
Knowing Pastor Jared, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
It's Home Alone.
Okay.
No doubt. I will say though,
the first one.
First one.
Okay.
And Home Alone 2 is not bad either.
Yeah.
I mean, no, that's a close second. I mean, that's like my fun Christmas with the kids. But I mean, It's a Wonderful Life is, they will say that's the best movie of all time. And for the story, everything else, it's pretty fantastic.
All right. Die Hard is a Christmas movie or no?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
It's a Christmas movie. We settled that debate last year.
Okay.
I think at Christmas Eve from the stage. Yeah.
Elf is by far my favorite Christmas movie. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Classic.
I can mimic all the little elf isms that they do all the time.
So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like Home Alone has been 34 years, something like that. Elf. Is it
early? I think 2003, 2004.
It's over 20. That's right. Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
How
I remember coming home and my sisters being like, "Hey, we got this." It was a DVD.
Yeah,
we got this on DVD, and I'm like, "No way, let's watch this." It's crazy.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. All right, favorite Christmas song. It doesn't have to be Christian, but then everyone will judge you if it's not.
I mean, okay, can we be secular for a minute?
Yeah.
It's got to be "Oh Holy Night."
Okay.
Not
Christian for a second.
That is a Christian song.
Yeah.
"Oh Holy Night" by far is probably my favorite.
Okay.
And then non-secular, I mean, "Christmas Time is Here," the Charlie Brown Christmas. I mean, that's a.
You didn't go Mariah Carey.
Man, but here's what's crazy. That song is over 30 years old too.
Wow.
It didn't make you feel old?
It does make me feel old.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What about you? Christmas song?
Santa Claus is Back in Town, Elvis Presley.
All right.
I can get down to that for sure. It's the only Elvis song I'm all about. I can listen to that thing year round. It's pretty good.
Ugh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new song? My son, he's a big Connor Price fan. It's a rapper, for a Christian rapper, but he came out with one called a Gift and a Curse. It's a Christmas rap song. It's actually pretty good.
All right.
A Gift and a Curse. Big shout out to Connor Price.
Speaking of Christmas rap, Run DMC, The Christmas in Hollis, that's also a great song.
Great album, or just a song?
I think just song. Okay. I don't know of anybody else or no other song on that album.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, this took
one time for youth ministry. I did that for karaoke, memorized the whole thing so that I didn't have to look at the back screen.
Boom.
Crushed it. Yeah, I think we had extra kids get saved that week.
I mean, did you even do the karaoke, or did you just turn the music on and you just went for it?
Yeah, I just went. I had the lights program ready to go. The kids in the back were like, "What is happening?" I was like, "Guys, I've been practicing this all week. Don't touch a button." I nailed
So you were in the
this.
youth room all week by yourself, just getting after
with
it.
the Santa suit, 100%.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do you have any video of this? Can we link it in the notes?
Somewhere. There's probably
Juliet has to have it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was probably pre-Juliet even, because I don't know if she would have let me do that.
She would have.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Drawn the line in the sand.
All right, your favorite Christmas present you've ever received?
I mean, that's a hard one. Let's go back junior high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nintendo 64.
Okay.
I remember that like it was yesterday. Thought that was the best thing ever. Yeah. Had a football game on it. I'm like, look at the graphics on this. This is groundbreaking. I can remember like yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. Nintendo 64 was a really cool year. How about you?
PlayStation 2.
Okay.
The mini.
All right.
Yeah, that was my first video game console I ever had. My parents were very anti video games, and I asked and asked and asked, and they were finally like, okay. So, and I got it, and I played that thing all the time. We took every December 26th. Oh, sorry, microphone. December 26th, we would drive to Florida from Texas. We'd
Okay.
spend 2 days. So I would spend Christmas Day opening up all these presents and then leave the day
And
after.
not being able to use them.
But I had a tiny box TV that I plugged in to this like little thing that went into the what's it called? The lighter.
outlet? Yeah.
Right. In our we had a minivan, like this big, it was actually a bigger van. We were missionaries too, so we had this weird vans. So
An Astro
in
minivan.
this van, yeah.
It had like curtains on the side
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
Okay.
So I plugged in this box TV with my PlayStation 2 Mini.
Let's go.
And played Madden basically the entire way to Florida. And one time I was so mad at my dad because I didn't save my season yet, and he unplugged the car and everything was lost. It was a big deal. And he's like, "I'm gonna take that away." It was a big deal.
That cracks me up.
Yeah, but I have forgiven him since, which is what we're gonna talk about today.
That's good. That's a good segue there.
That was great.
I'm trying to think if there's another like gift that meant a lot. I don't know. I think Nintendo 64 was. I just remember it, so
Yeah.
I wanted it so bad, and yeah. There you go.
I don't remember basically any other Christmas present I received as a kid except for that PlayStation 2.
Isn't that wild?
It was a big deal.
Shortly, I think for me, shortly after like junior high and high school, it just became like I want clothes, I want money, and that's kind of what Christmas became.
Yeah.
You know, the older you get. So
You said that I got a green and yellow Aeropostale hoodie
okay,
that I felt like the coolest.
that
kid.
meant a
I
lot
can't-
to you,
yeah,
apparently.
Yeah.
All right, see if we can find it.
Yeah,
if anybody's looking
no.
to get Pastor DJ a gift,
Don't give me Aeropostale stuff.
and yeah, is that store even
I
around?
don't
still?
know. Maybe
All right.
it's possible at a local mall that still exists.
I think our listeners should write in the chat what their favorite
Christmas present
Christmas present has
was.
been.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see the results on that.
All right.
All right. Anyway.
All right. Let's dive into the sermon.
Yeah. Okay.
It was not as
Christmas time
rapid
is
of fire
here.
as we probably intended, but
That's true.
all right. So I guess the first question, you talked about forgiveness. What made you choose the topic of forgiveness around Christmas time?
I mean, because it's what everybody's dealing with. Kind of made the joke, like the reason why we're talking about this is because they're coming to your house. That strained relationship, that you have some issues that you just haven't been able to let go. Like you will see these people up close and personal.
Yeah.
And these next couple of weeks. A, that's one of the reasons. And B, it's because every year when we do the survey at Easter, what do you want to hear a message on? It's forgiveness is always a top 5. And so I thought, man, this is going to hit a felt need, but it's also, man, like people are experiencing this. So reconcile a relationship, forgiveness sets you free. Let's go down that role. So that's the number one reason why.
Yeah. So you kind of opened up the playbook, so to speak, into like the enemy's tactic, his strategy, right? So you said that Satan's goal is destruction, his strategy is division, his tactic is offense.
Always.
And then you had this line that offense is a moment, but living offended is a decision, right? And so I'm going to talk about our culture for a second. We live in a culture that's a very offended culture, right? Everything you say, somebody's mad about it.
Everybody's sensitive.
And so because of that, I think like, where's the Christian's response? It seems like there's two extremes. There's the everything you say upsets that person. And then there's the other person that's like, oh, I don't care what you say. You're an idiot anyway. Like this is, so there's like those two sides. What's a Christian's response in a very sensitive and offended culture?
That's great. I mean, the simple answer is wisdom. Like, I mean, both sides, both extremes are bad. So the proverb says like balance is key. So there are things in our culture that we should be offended by, right? I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But also having the wisdom of like, okay, and I always like even tell our staff, like just prioritize A, B, C, D, and E. If everything is A, then obviously you don't manage your time very well, you know, or and I would say in regards to this, if everything offends you, then man, I just think you probably have a messed up or jacked up worldview, and you're not understanding it from a biblical perspective. So use lots of wisdom, but then personally speaking, it's just like, man, if everything upsets you, like you need to go back and understand like why, like there's something deeper inside of you. So I would scratch at that scab a little bit to see what comes out. Like, and maybe it was your childhood where everything had to be a big deal. And if anything, you know, the way I like to joke with my kids, like if something like that you had scheduled, but something happens that set your schedule off, like you're inconvenienced and you're freaking out about an inconvenience, like what do you like live like knowing that inconveniences are going to happen to you? And it's teaching them the world does not revolve around you.
Yeah.
Right. But also at the same time for a Christian of like there's a whole world that's so much bigger than you.
Mhm.
Like things are going to come into your life. Like, how you react to that will set you up for who you're going to become as a person.
Mm.
So I would say it's lots of wisdom. Is this worth being offended by? Can I do anything about this right now in this moment?
Mhm.
And I would probably say 9 out of the 10 things that we think are a big deal, if you really boil it down, aren't. And this is getting a proper perspective
Yeah.
on that. And we talked about this quite a bit. The most helpful thing for me from time to time when I'm hiking is to get to the very top of that mountain, look down, and I kind of picture, oh, here's this little corner, University and Gilbert, right? That's a little pocket that God has called me to pastor this little church. And
Mm.
I'm saying, not saying, look, we're not a little church, but when you're at a really big perspective, you begin to see, ah,
Yeah.
all that God's doing,
Mhm.
like I'm just a speck here, right? And that, honestly, if you understand that and stop making life always about you, it takes the living offended away.
Mm.
Like there's so much more going on than even what I see. I think that's helpful.
Mm.
Now that's a very high level answer, and I understand when you're in the middle of it and something happens to you that feels very personal, you have a decision to make in that moment.
Yeah.
Am I going to carry around this offense or can I let it go? Or what I would encourage our listeners to do, can you become curious? So instead of freaking out in the moment and living offended, why don't you just maybe absorb it
Mhm.
and turn that offense into some questions? And I bet you'll be able to get to the real issue that's going on. Curiosity is an amazing place to be.
Yeah.
I always, if gratefulness is the best emotion you can have, and like depression and anger is the worst, I think any time in between that is curiosity.
Mhm.
And if you can ask, so instead of going to anger, just become curious. And I think if you ask the right questions, learn how to ask the right questions, and stop freaking out, I think it'll actually get you to gratitude much faster.
Yeah.
But,
That's really good.
but we live in a world of offense, man. Like
Mm.
it's going to happen. Like we're going to have pain and sadness and issues because there's relationships
Yeah.
and like, your wife is going to offend you today. Like I'm going to offend Amanda. So what are you going to do about that?
Mm.
If you're going to live in offend, like if you're going to make everything an issue, oh man, I feel bad for your, like, I feel bad for your spouse. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I
Yeah.
think the curiosity thing is it's important because it takes you to the root, right? When you start asking the question, like let's use social media for
Yeah.
example. Somebody posts something that you disagree with, or you talked about politics a little bit too,
Yeah.
right? Like they disagree with where you're at from a politics standpoint. You ask the question, okay, why do they think this?
Yeah.
Right? And immediately you start to understand a little bit more as you dig into it. Like what is their background? What's their history? How did they grow up? Did they grow up different than me? Like what caused them to think and have a different worldview than I currently have?
That's right.
And I think that immediately takes the edge off of just this idea of we're butting heads, we're
Yep.
going at it.
Here's the thing. The reason why in our culture that's so rare is because that doesn't that doesn't sell, that doesn't get subscribers.
Hmm.
What the only voices that you're hearing on any issue is the extreme, the angry people on both sides.
Yeah.
And that's what people are attracted to, that's what people click on. And if you could have like, which I hope this podcast is, I even hope like my preaching is that to a certain extent of like, if I can just get you curious, I mean, honestly, like the book of Revelation for me was if I could get people curious of like, hey, oh, I've never heard that before. And instead of like being so dogmatic on either side, I think that's where we actually can grow.
Mm.
And that's a really healthy place to be. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
teach my kids, right? When something happens, somebody offends you, just ask the question, why?
Hmm.
Why? And first off, why do I feel the way that I feel?
Mm.
What's going on with me?
Yeah.
Not even because that already happened. Don't ask the question why they're doing what they're doing. I think that is a good question to ask eventually.
Yeah.
But first, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? And maybe it's Gianna the other day is like, Dad, I'm frustrated about something. Okay, why? Why are you frustrated? Like what's going on? And then I understand. Okay, she has like 3 tests this next week for her finals,
Mm.
right? Her volleyball Tuesday night practice didn't go well. I'm not saying that wasn't real, but you're absorbing it so much different because there's other things going on in your life than just this thing.
Yeah.
If people can get curious, ask the right questions, I actually think many of the offenses aren't offenses,
Yeah. That's good.
but we take it as such in our culture.
So let's talk about the illustration you used,
Yeah,
right? Marriage specifically,
sure.
but it applies if you're single, whatever, right? A lot of you get offended
That's
by
right. Your mom and
anybody.
dad,
Yeah,
roommates,
right.
yeah, all that.
So in that illustration, right? I think there's probably people in a couple different categories. One of like, hey, there's one big offense, right? Like
Yeah,
somebody cheated on you or abused you, and like you're to this side of it. Can I forgive them for this one big offense?
yeah,
The other side is kind of what you laid out, like maybe 5, 6 smaller things over time that have built up. And so either of those, like I think you hit on kind of both of
yeah.
those. But what do you say to the person that's like maybe you're newly married or you have a couple of these things? How do you prevent it from getting to the 6 or 7 offenses to where you guys are blowing up
Yeah.
versus like, hey, there's a 1 or 2, let's call them annoying things that my spouse does that seem to irritate me. How can I move past these? Is it communication? Like, what's the key to not allowing it to get to that point?
Um, I think most of those. That's a great question. Most of the the little things. Not okay. So after the 10:30 service, somebody walks up to me and goes, "Man, I just felt like I went through marriage counseling today." I'm like, is it freeing for you?"
Yeah.
But in marriage specifically, let's just use this as an example. Like, celebrate the differences for goodness sake. Like, thank God you don't see each other the same way or
Mhm.
see things the same way. Like, I actually think that's what brought you together. But
Mhm.
it's also true that what attracted you together, right, is now the thing that you're fight about. Like, I didn't use this. Here's an example. Like, I'm just, before marriage, I'm so thankful he's so outgoing. He's the life of the party. And now in this set of marriage, like, I just wish he'd shut up,
Yeah.
right? I wish that he would like stop being a people person.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I love how reserved she is. I love how, calm. And I wish that she'd show more energy and more
Mhm.
excitement about certain things. Like that's who God created her to be. So, or him to be too. Like,
Mhm.
just stop, celebrate the differences. But also, like, if you walk into marriage knowing, like, I'm going to get bumped today, she's going to say something, I'm going to say something to her. And I'm not, I'm not trying to, I'm coming at the best place. I'm loving and leading my wife the best that I can. If you go in like feel, let me say it this way, you have the best intention. Like I think that he's in the best place or she's in the best place.
Mhm.
Then you have all the grace in the world for all of the things that are going to come your way. I mean, that's Amanda and I have just made the commitment of like we are not going to allow the petty things to destroy our marriage
Mhm.
ever. So we just give lots of grace, and it's the moment where I'm like, I I need to question your motive maybe on that.
Mhm.
Then we have the conversation then. We don't
Mhm.
I might take that verse seriously. We do not let the sun go down on our wrath because
Mhm.
it gives a place for the devil.
Yeah.
So unforgiveness, that is demonic activity
Mhm.
in your marriage, and you need to snuff it out.
Yeah.
So we just made that sometimes like we'll stay up late and fight and hash it out. But we made that commitment to make sure we do that. So the little things, if they go unchecked, become the fence.
Yeah.
That's true in any relationship. I use the marriage because it applies to most. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's my encouragement to people of like they're going to come every day. Where's the motive? Where's the heart? And if you question the motive or the heart, that's the thing you have to get to the bottom of.
Yeah. You referenced the birthday, the
Yeah,
different
that's
expectations
right.
for birthday. So I was the family, like, birthdays were super chill.
Yep.
Hers were, this is a big deal. And so she introduced me into that, and she told me, like, last year, she's like, "I actually hate this now because the expectations are so much higher for your
Yes.
birthday." I'm like, "Well, you asked for it. This
This
is
is
where
what
we're
you
at."
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was Amanda and me. I grew up in because my birthday's so close to Christmas,
Yeah.
so it's like big deal,
Right.
right? And Amanda's birthday was always breakfast in bed,
Yeah.
big party, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We've had to come to an agreement on that.
So it's funny. So Juliet's is December 18th. Hers
Okay.
is 1 week before, but she's very like, don't get me anything that looks if it's in a bag, a Christmas bag, and you say happy birthday, like this is
It doesn't
Jesus's
count.
birthday, not mine. I want my own.
I love it.
Like, okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
different.
get it. I mean, but I think at the end of the day, man, like if with any offense, you have to. And so here's the difference between living offended and an offense happening. If a lot of people they don't get curious and ask why, they just assume.
Mhm.
There's another sermon that I did on this. They just believe a false story. This is what that person really. So instead of
Mhm.
asking the question, they just believe a lie.
Yeah.
Well, where does that come from? It comes from Satan himself. Again, I think all demonic activities all ingrained in this. And if he can get you to believe a false lie, the walls can come up. And when the walls are up and the separation has happened, then we get to hostility. And that's the most dangerous place to be. Bitterness, hostility, unforgiveness. That's where the evil one wants you. He wants to keep you in that prison of unforgiveness.
So I thought one of the most powerful moments, and just to bring clarity to the topic of forgiveness,
Yeah.
was when you listed out like this is what forgiveness is not,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm gonna dive into those a little
Okay.
bit. It's not forgiveness is not forgetting, waiting for an apology. It's not a one time thing. It doesn't mean that the pain went away. It's not you trusting, like come to just go back like it never happened, right? It's not reconciliation. And then I thought a really good one was it's not losing. I think sometimes when we say like I'm sorry, even we think like I lost.
Yeah.
Like this is my white flag, you win, right? So talk a little bit about that. Like why do you think we have a misunderstanding, a misconception of like this is forgiveness? Like why do you think our brain is skewed a little bit in that area, and how do we avoid that? How do we know exactly what forgiveness is if it's not some of these tangible things that the world kind of tells us that it is?
Great question. I mean, it's hard for me because I'm competitive by nature. You're going to struggle with thinking that you're not losing in this moment. But again, it's not that. It's actually winning. You're setting yourself free.
Yeah.
So it's just a complete mind shift. Like if you realize me forgiving this person for that offense, great or small, and when you understand it's none of those things that we've been told to believe it is, then I'm walking out of the prison cell because it's no longer the issue between me and that person. It's just it's a personal issue that I'm walking in freedom. That person may never change. That person may never say they're sorry. As I said, there's some narcissistic people that will never apologize. They're full of pride. They never think that they're wrong. Like, okay, me forgiving them for that has nothing to do with them. And then you go back and then you understand what forgiveness is. Well, did we ever deserve forgiveness for what we've done? We have all sinned against God, and all of us deserve death and hell. If you understand what that is, but yet Christ in his mercy forgave us anyway.
Yeah.
When we get a clear picture of how much we've been forgiven, then of course we can extend forgiveness to other people. Here's the biggest issue that I see. If people don't really, thank God I'm forgiven, but they don't really understand the depth in which they've been forgiven. And when you don't have a clear view of how much God loves you and how much he's forgiven you for who you truly are, how sinful you are, it'll be damn near impossible to forgive somebody else. You first have to receive before you can extend it.
Yeah.
And that is where the trip up for a lot of Christians, they don't think, or maybe they've gotten over the fact of how jacked up and messed up they are. They've been a Christian for a really long time. I'm a good person. And that's all pride. And that's, man, I'm telling you, this is where the demonic activity begins to take place in people's life. And it's God gives grace to the humble, and that posture is understanding who you truly are. But he despises the proud. And so, man, that's a very humbling thing for even me to be like, dude, the only reason why I'm in the role that I'm in, have the family that I have, the job, whatever, is because of God's grace. I deserve nothing. And the moment you begin to think that you deserve it or something's not fair, well, it's going to be hard for you to forgive certain things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
We all deserve death and hell. I mean, I don't know. All of us are here, like people that are listening, watching, because of God's grace and his forgiveness.
I think it's interesting, like you hit it spot on, but like people that are newer to their faith, that have just recently like really been forgiven, and they understand, they have easy memory of like, man, that was me 6 months ago.
right.
Those people are way easier to forgive even other Christians, people that have offended them. It is the people sometimes that have been a Christian 30, 40, 50 years that all of a sudden you start to forget how you used to be or forget the life you once lived. And you have I would say, not as great of an appreciation for the forgiveness that God has for you.
You're 100% right. Probably the better word that I should have used is there becomes an entitlement even in Christianity, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been serving you for all, like I deserve things. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Like I don't deserve anything that I have. Boil it down. Like none of this is mine.
Yeah.
Right? All of it's God's. And I just get to be a good steward. I mean, so I do take ownership in what he's given me in a stewardship mindset. But man, if you go back, so there's an old guy in my church in Michigan. His name was John Hollemans. And every time he prayed, like he would start his prayer and say, God, thank you for my salvation. And it's that moment of like, what a great way to start your prayer
Yeah.
of thanksgiving, of being like, if I got what I deserved, it's just a reminder that I deserve nothing. Everything is a great gift from you. Even this cup of coffee,
Yeah.
if you boil it down, it's God's great gift to us.
Mm.
I mean, it's what a great place to be.
Yeah.
So when you understand that, well, then of course I can forgive people. And that doesn't mean that our relationship goes back to where it was. All the things that I said in the message that it's not, it's you're winning. You're winning when you forgive.
Yeah.
You're walking into the life God has for you.
It's good.
Yeah.
If coffee is God's gift to us, creamer is just
It's
really a great gift.
the sugar. And
Yeah.
I would say this, though, like, let's just take it one step further. If people are really struggling with some forgiveness, and there was from the response, definitely you could tell.
Yeah.
There's some people that are working through this. I actually think Celebrate Recovery
Yeah.
is a great next step for many people. I should have mentioned that in the message,
Yeah.
but that's a great next step for people. And people think Celebrate Recovery is just about like addiction and drugs and pornography, and yeah, some of that. But obviously, some of it is just, man, I have some hurts in my life, and I can't get over them.
Yeah.
Celebrate Recovery is a great ministry that we have here that helps people walk in freedom, even from some past hurts in their life.
You can go to our website for that. You can also
right.
text CR to our church number 45554.
Yeah, that's right.
For that information.
I'd encourage
too.
anybody to do that.
Yeah.
Be a helpful next step.
Good deal. All right, well, let's talk about one other thing from the weekend. You highlighted obviously a big change for our East Mesa campus.
How'd it go over there? Response was good?
Everybody's pumped up. They're ready to go. We're moving to Eastmark High School in the new year.
Incredible.
Really, really excited about that opportunity.
And we've had several people already text Eastmark to our number, and that seems to get some good traction going over there for January 5th as we launch.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It's
So
a God story.
I
Praise
told
God.
the team too, like we're spending January, like getting serve teams ready to go. Then we'll, in the middle of January, we'll send a mailer out to the community. Like our big grand opening is not going to be till February the 9th.
That's right.
As we figure out all of the logistics of doing church in a new space.
So we're asking 100 people from our Mesa location. If you're not serving, not involved, I need you to go to Eastmark. If you live somewhere close to that, go help us out. Let's go build some teams.
Yeah.
Get ready, prepared for our big February 9 grand opening.
There you go.
Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Indeed.
All right. Then we also had our Make a Difference offering this week. Do you want to highlight some of the things?
I mean, people are still giving to it. It's been a good response. So I don't have all the, like, what yesterday's offering was yet, but we'll have, it's a good response. People can give all the way up to the end of the year. There was some like, totally forgot. We're ready. I just didn't bring my checkbook or online. I'm like, it's whatever. So, and when it's a larger offering, some people are sending it through retirement accounts and stock and crypto and all the things that we can take from people. So I would expect by the end of the year to be really close to hitting our financial goal with that, which
It's awesome.
Which would be an incredible start. So,
all right. And then we are just a few days away. I think we're 1 week away now.
That's right.
From Christmas Eve.
Unbelievable.
We have a ton of different service options, both locations, but give us kind of your perspective leading up to Christmas Eve. Give us the plug. Why should they come to Christmas Eve 2024?
I think it's going to be one of the most beautiful services that they'll attend all year. From the songs that we've chosen, the lighting, how we're changing some things up, stage design. There's a one life story that's just really, really powerful about a family in our church. And we're going to talk about like the light of the world. And we're going to reference a little bit just kind of what we've been talking about through the Revelation series, the darkness. Well, Revelation 12, right? Jesus came and he's the light of the world. And there's a cosmic battle that's raging. And the really cool thing for us is we know how this ends, that the first coming of Jesus actually points to his second coming when he makes all things new. And I think it'll be really powerful and meaningful. Kids will love it. I always like to tell people, I only preach for like 20 minutes in these special services because we have so many other things going on. And the candle lighting moment, who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be...
the ladies that they get their hair burnt don't love it.
They don't love that. Or the wax that lands on all the seats.
Yeah, the team's not a big fan of scraping those out.
But it's going to be a beautiful service. I'm really proud of... I would say that, like, I always think it's important. Like I'm proud of it, and it'd be something for them to be proud to invite a friend to come with them. So expecting God to do some really powerful things in our Christmas Eve services.
So we got one at the Mesa Campus on the 23rd, 7 p.m. That's
right.
If you're a late night person, that's your service.
It's only an hour. We'll get you out by 8 o'clock.
Yep. And then we had 3 here at Mesa Campus, 2, 3:30, and 5.
Yep.
and then 2 at our East Mesa campus, which is our last time at the Gateway Polytech Academy.
Amazing.
3:30 and 5.
And we'll have lots of like photo booth areas.
Mhm.
We're creating so many. There's not going to be long lines to get photo booth areas in. So
Yeah.
come grab a photo, dress, in your Christmas attire, and
Yeah.
and then
great.
share it all over Instagram and Facebook, and
It's gonna
let
be
people
perfect.
know how powerful these services are. Yeah.
It's interesting. Christmas attire in Arizona is a little different than up north, I would assume, where you were.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like this. I mean, I feel like overdressed today because it was cold this morning, and
Yeah.
now I walked out to come over here. I'm like, oh,
It can
I'm
shift like
overdressed.
35 degrees in like 4 hours.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Indeed.
All right. Well, good stuff. Excited
man.
for Christmas. We have one more podcast next week
Yeah.
as we conclude the 2024 season, but really, really excited about what God's going to do in 2025.
Amen.
And remember, the church is not a building we sit in, it's a movement we get to be a part of to help reach one more
go.
life for Jesus.